All smiles then, all round for Barcelona. The show continues, the Barca show, the Catalan newspapers, as Luis Garcia joins us. Luis, we'll talk about some of the problems in a moment for Barca, but when it comes to pre-season, they're ticking over nicely.
Yeah, I think they pick from last season. I think they start very well. You can see the pattern of plays are right there. The style of Hansi Flick is still in place, and they are trying to add something extra. Try to keep the clean sheet. Try to be more aware of what's happening at the back. That high line that we've been talking a lot during a long season last year. It looks like it's working. It's working a little bit better, but it's still, I'm sure, to be tested. So far, I think the Barcelona has started very well, but it will be next weekend when we really will see what's going to happen with the Barcelona. It's going to be Rashford, the man is going to be the one up front, or it's going to be Lewandowski, Ferran Torres. I think that right now Hansi Flick has got a lot of options up front. Even Rashford, a player who we might thought in the beginning that he would be a good fit for Barcelona. He could give a little bit of rest to Rafinha, to Lewandowski up front, even Ferran Torres. So a player who can add something extra up front. The problem is it will be at the back. If at certain moment this Barcelona side can get an injury with one of the centre backs, and then it will be a little bit in trouble. But so far so good for Barcelona. Great to start.
Yeah, great start. So far so good. Nothing more to talk about, apart from the fact they still can't register some of their new players, including Marcus Rashford. Now, we heard Joan Laporta speaking yesterday, and he said he reckoned that Garcia will be registered, of course, the new goalkeeper who signed from Espanyol. But for the likes of Rashford, it's going to be very difficult indeed. Obviously, the deadline isn't this weekend, but it is approaching at the end of the transfer window. And Luis, it's such a sad situation. We've talked about this quite a lot, that the club that's offered so much on the pitch still seems in such disarray off it.
Yeah, exactly. And this is something that we saw last year in a couple of times. They were different players, but at the same time, we felt for the players, but also for the situation of this Barcelona. That at the beginning, or at the end of the season, we thought that for this season, Barcelona will get that rule of the 1-1, and they will start signing players and registering players without any problem. But we are back again into that position. And hopefully, Joan Laporta finds the way of doing it. Rashford, I'm sure that he has arrived to a good deal with Barcelona, understanding the situation, but it's not comfortable. This kind of moment for players when you arrive to a club, what you want is to be clear your head, to put everything in place and be ready for fighting and to try to get a place into the 11 starting on Hansi Flick. And we are in this situation again. So really, really sad to hear again. But we wait and see, because every single time that this situation happened before, Joan Laporta managed to pick the magic hat and bring something different. And in the end, it was Dani Olmo last year who was registered.
Meanwhile, La Liga have given Barcelona and Villarreal permission to play their tie, which is going to take place in December, in Miami, of course. La Liga have looked for this option quite a bit over the last few years. There have been obstacles that have got in the way before. It looks like, though, Luis, this really could happen.
Yeah, I think that Javier Tebas has been working a lot in the past few years to try to bring one of the games from La Liga to United States. And it's true that he wanted to do it with El Clásico, but it's even now a lot more problems. Finally, the Federation of the Spanish Football have decided to give the green light, and we'll have to wait and see what the FIFA and UEFA says about it. Isn't standing by until we wait and they can give that green light to this game to be happen. But it was a matter of time. I think the interest of Javier Tebas to continue opening the market in the United States, it was very, very big. And finally, it looks like he's approaching to the final moment where we can see one of the La Liga games match to be accurate, the Villarreal against Barcelona, to play in Miami. So I'm sure that it will be a massive and huge boost for La Liga to open the market right there.
How's your calendar looking for around about, end of December, Luis?
It's already marked. Dan, hopefully we can see each other right there in Miami.
Most definitely. Miami in December, not bad at all. Meanwhile, Luis, of course, the season kicks off just this weekend. You told us a lot last season. You were the only one who backed Barcelona to win La Liga. We're going to go to your predictions. If you pick Real Madrid, you'd make me laugh a lot. But no, it will indeed be Barca, according to you.
Yes, of course. I think that after last season, they probably will have a little bit more doubts about the Barcelona and with the new coach, what they were going to make with Real Madrid just winning the year before and looking very strong, winning also the Champions League. This season, I think the team to be beaten is Barcelona. I think they showed last year that they are very strong. They are going to continue getting stronger. Right now, they understand more what Hansi Flick wants from the players. It looks right now every player is in position to try to fight for a place in the 11 starter, but also it looks very, very strong. And Real Madrid, of course, we need to wait and see what Xavi Alonso is getting ready. We know that he can do magic. He did it at Leverkusen. I think they are a little bit short on numbers. Real Madrid hasn't signed as many players as we would thought, and we'll have to wait and see. Atletico Madrid will be in place again to see if they are really going to challenge for La Liga. We thought last year with all the investment that they did, they were going to fight, but it wasn't enough. And this season, once again, with Alex Baena, with Cardoso, with players who can add quality and creativity in the last third, we'll see if they can challenge these two big powerhouses. But in the end, for me, I think the Barcelona is going to be the favorite team to win La Liga.
You mentioned it, Luis. Obviously, Real Madrid looking light. They brought in players in defence, but you're going to have, of course, Jude Bellingham out with that shoulder operation. Also, Camavinga's out with an ankle injury that he picked up this weekend. Xavi Alonso hasn't got a lot to work with, especially in that midfield at the moment.
Yeah, it's all about rotation. I mean, without Bellingham, you need to understand that Valverde or Alexander Arnold are going to have the place in midfield or in the right side, but you're going to be lacking numbers. And you need a strong midfield. So many shows during the Club World Cup that he could do a good job right there as a holding midfielder, and you know that you can use him also as a centre-back. But I think the creativity, let's don't forget, since Toni Kroos left the Real Madrid, we're still talking about that player without Modric, that he just left the club. You need players who can add that creativity, that build-up, that connection between the players that you got up front. That, of course, since Gonzalo Garcia impressed us all during the Club World Cup, let's not forget that Rodrygo is also in those rumors that he could be leaving the club. He wasn't involved much in the Club World Cup either. So I think that right now Real Madrid is trying to understand what Xavi Alonso wants to do. If he's going to play with the three at the back, he's going to play with four at the back, trying to understand the system, the new ways of training or of playing, and much more, because they don't have enough players, I think, to compete for all the trophies. Let's not forget, Real Madrid will try to challenge for La Liga, but also Champions League. So, in my opinion, a little bit short on numbers.
Luis, are you going to Mallorca for the opener?
Yes, sir. I will be there.
I'm afraid it's not me, it's Kay. I'm sure you're very disappointed about that, Luis.
I'm a little bit disappointed.
Yeah. Just a reminder, Mallorca against Barcelona live on Saturday, 1:30 Eastern on ESPN+. Real Madrid have been given a couple of days grace. They will play on Tuesday at home against Osasuna. Now, we heard Luis talk about it. Rodrygo, where is he going to be playing come the end of the transfer window? Manchester City have been the latest side that have been linked to the Brazilian international, with suggestions that maybe Savinho could go from City to Spurs. For more on this, Luis Garcia is still with us. Don Hutchinson and Frank Leboeuf join the show as well. Luis, where do we stand on Rodrygo and his ability to adapt to the Premier League, blah, blah, blah?
No, I have no doubt. He's been one of my favorite players, to be honest, when he played for Real Madrid. And right now, we think that it was moment to maybe make the jump, start becoming a bigger player, a player who is got more importance into the team, because in Real Madrid, he's been looking like always the replacement of someone of an important moment. So I think that we can see the departure of Rodrygo, but Real Madrid, he will lack again in another important player in the last third.
Can he be the man at Manchester City, Don?
Yeah, he can. Savinho's been linked with Tottenham today, and obviously Jack Grealish has gone to Everton. So I think he can be the man. I think he's got the personality. I think he's got the talent. I remember Jude Bellingham doing an interview when he first went to Real Madrid inside a couple of months. He said, "Who's got the most skill? Who's the most skillful you've seen?" And he said, "Rodrygo." So he's now got to transfer that into games. We've seen it over the years, how good he can be, but he's sort of been pushed towards that right-hand side, which I think he can still play in that position, but he suits the left. I think he comes into the Premier League and plays under Pep, and if he goes to Man City, I think it'll be a real success.
Do you agree, Stevie?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
I do, aye. Yeah, I think the way City play will absolutely suit Rodrygo. Obviously, Grealish is going to be moving on. Savinho, as Don's talking about, moving on. So you're looking at Doku and Rodrygo on that side, and I think I agree with Don. I think straight off the bat, I think Rodrygo would be my starter. And yeah, there's no reason why he wouldn't do well.
I suppose if I'm a Manchester City fan, maybe I'm concerned that Manchester City aren't addressing maybe defensive issues instead of looking to bring in the likes of Rodrygo, Frank.
Yeah, it's true. But when you have the opportunity to get a player like Rodrygo, you know, you get the chance, and Rodrygo is a fantastic player. I don't even understand why he tried to stay last year, because with the arrival of Mbappe and Vinicius Junior being already there, he had no chance to play. So I thought he would have decided to he would have decided to go and play for another club. But it's true that, yes, offensively, Manchester City is what I saw during the Club World Cup, that offensively, they're there. We know that they have the talent, they have possibilities and options everywhere, but in the middle of the park, we don't know what Rodrygo is going to do when he's going to come back from his injury. We feel that the midfielders are pretty fragile, I would say, where you have to win all battles, which makes even more fragile the defense. And we don't know where we go with them. We saw that last year, that if they can't get the ball straight after losing it by a high pressing, they're going to struggle. And I don't see why it would be otherwise this season, because I didn't see any new signings.
Meanwhile, of course, news breaking that Jack Grealish, it looks like he will be going on loan to Everton. And in case you're new to the show, that's one of the 17 clubs that Don supports. So, Don, how do you feel about this?
I think it's the most amazing signing ever for Evertonians. I really do, because I know I mentioned Scott McTominay a lot. No, I mentioned Scott McTominay a lot at Napoli, and I just think it's exactly what Jack Grealish needs. He needs to go and play games. He needs to go and be the man. David Moyes called him, I think 3 or 4 years ago, the best player, or one of the best players in the league. He'll give him a sort of semi-free role. He'll play with a smile on his face, because when you watch Jack Grealish play with a smile, and you play with him, and you watch him play, and you watch him, you know, the way he's got ultra confidence, he's got ability. We've not really seen that over the last 18 months. But he was still a really successful player at Man City. I mean, I think in their most successful year, when they won the Champions League, he started the most Champions League games. So he was really vital to what Pep needed that year. Now, confidence is a huge thing for any footballer. That's why I mentioned Scott McTominay, you know, getting nominated for a Ballon d'Or and be MVP over in Italy. This move for Grealish is absolutely perfect. He'll play every single game. David Moyes will give him that free role where he can try and express himself. I just see a massive win for both parties. It's a coup for Everton to get him. And I think of Jack Grealish, the player, and his personality and his character, it's exactly the club that he needs to go and play for. You've
been really harsh on Marcus Rashford over the last couple of years. Yeah. Why is it felt that Jack Grealish has got a pass, considering his form has absolutely fallen off a cliff? You look at those stats, and they're pretty embarrassing, aren't they, for a £100 million player?
Well, I think because most people understand that maybe Pep's influence in the way City play didn't really suit Grealish. Yes, he had that great season, but Jack Grealish is a guy that needs a little time and a little space and a little room to do to let his instincts take over and play football like he's a kid. And you don't get that at City. I've always felt that it seems to be, even the players seem to be so micromanaged that you almost kind of take a little bit of the enjoyment away from them. And I think that's what's happened with Grealish. So that's why I think Grealish has been given a little bit of a pass. Because, as I said, including myself, a lot of people thought going to City wasn't the best move in terms of football for him.
But as Don said, he was so key in that treble season.
Yep.
Surely it's up to him to make himself still key. Still important.
Listen, don't get
that player that
absolutely. He absolutely has to take responsibility for some of the shortcomings since that season. But as I said, I think the biggest problem is Pep and micromanaging somebody like Jack Grealish, who absolutely needs a little bit of freedom, which I just don't think since that season he got any.
Frank?
Yeah, I think when he came from Aston Villa, he kept for a year the instinct that he had from his past. And little by little, he lost it because of the management of Pep. Where Pep, played chess on the field, where he tries to advance his shot, he tries to pose everything to make sure he has a tactic. Where Jack Grealish is completely the opposite. Jack Grealish is a feeling moment guy, type of guy, and he lost it little by little. It's why, I'm happy for Everton that he can get him. I'm not that happy for him that he can stay in the Premier League. I would have loved to see Jack Grealish in La Liga, or maybe in the Calcio, or some other league where he could have shown the talent that he really has. Because as Steve said, when he has a little bit of time, and I think in those leagues you will have a little bit more time, he can show his talent. He's been absolutely tremendous when he was playing for Aston Villa. Yeah, I would have loved to see him in another league.
And of course, this is part of Pep trying to clear out some of the squad, which he complained was too big, of course, last season. It's interesting that a player that he just brought in last season in Savinho is already being reported that he could be shown the door. Spurs is what the Brazilian international has been linked to. And what's interesting, Luis, is that he was so brilliant for Girona. Those stats don't really sum up how important he was during Girona's great run, of course, 2 seasons ago. But he seems to have really struggled to make any sort of impact for City this season.
Well, it is difficult to make an impact into the City when the whole team is not playing in the best way, in the best shape. All the pressure comes to the players normally who are in the last third, where they need to try to create and score goals, and that wasn't happening. And Haaland wasn't scoring goals. Grealish, we've been talking a little bit about it. Doku, every single player who was playing for City last year was struggling from the back until the front, conceding a lot of goals and not scoring goals enough. And in the end, when you try to find a solution, well, I think Savinho is only 21 years old. One fantastic year at Girona, a fantastic Girona. Let's don't forget, we follow La Liga. They did an amazing job qualifying for the Champions League. But he's a very young talent who needs time, who needs games. And I think that at City, he's been in and out. Same kind of the style with Jack Grealish. So in the end, if he can find that confidence of a manager giving them 35 games a season all in a row, I think this could be a very, very interesting player. I don't know if he's going to be a loan, if he's going to be a transfer. I'm sure that the tag that he's going to have is going to be quite high, but definitely is a player who needs to play more often, and a player who can bring you some very good things in the last step, because he's got that creativity and ability to be players that there are not many on these days in the market.
Is this the sort of player that Spurs need, though, Don?
Yeah, I think so. I think just going back to what Stevie was saying and Lewis was saying about Pep, I mean, I think if you asked all of us, we'd love to play under Pep Guardiola, but it must be very intense, because he's not the only one that struggled last year. Phil Foden struggled, Jack Grealish struggled. Most of the forwards really struggled last year, so the pressure was on. There's a talented player in there. I saw some of his best work when he was playing down the left-hand side for Man City, and he was like whipping balls into Haaland. Haaland scored a great header towards the end of the season. I thought, right, he's got it. Like Savinho's got it. He's not taking too many touches all of a sudden. I think he did when he first went in there, and he probably overcomplicated things because he's a skillful player. Where I think Pep wants a winger to get it out of his feet, get crosses in the box, supply Marmoush or supply Haaland, and I thought he had it. It must be very difficult because you're not on the training ground every single day, and when Pep's delivering those messages, sometimes as a player it's not easy to take everything on board, and you can't take everything on board all of the time. You'd like to think you can, but sometimes a young player just can't, and I think he's probably one of 3 or 4 players that struggled with the sort of coaching. Not blaming Pep, I think, because Pep is obviously one of the best, but sometimes as a young player it can be an awful lot of responsibility to try and take on at any given time.
Well, of course, you keep an eye on what Manchester City do between now and the end of the transfer window over on Transfer Talk. Be sure to have a look at that over on the website. ESPN FC is presented by Xfinity. The Wi-Fi is booming. Taking a look at the teletape from that game, Crystal Palace, as you boys obviously discussed yesterday, thoroughly deserving on lifting the trophy. As we welcome in Luis Garcia with us, as is Don Hutchinson and Frank Leboeuf, who was there, of course. Let's get the former Liverpool boys on it, shall we? First time we've heard from you on the match, Don. How big a deal is this?
It's not a big deal. I think the one person that obviously didn't play in that game, which would have made the game completely different, was Ryan Gravenberch. He was missing because he'd become a father the night before. And I think it just goes to show when Liverpool are at it, they wouldn't concede the amount of goals that they've conceded lately. I mean, the manager touched on it there. They've been sloppy in pre-season. I think Van Dijk's had an off pre-season. You can see that was a yard off it by giving the penalty away. I mean, it took me back, and I thought of Stevie. Actually, yesterday, watching this game, it was a boiling hot day, and we both played in 92 against Leeds. I came off the bench and it was really, really hot, and I felt really, really leggy. And it looked to me that Liverpool players struggled yesterday. Crystal Palace in the second half, they ran all over Liverpool, they were the better side. That'll be the concern for Arne Slot. Now, the flip side to that is their first game in the Premier League is at home at Anfield. The dynamic being on the front foot will be totally different. So, yes, it's a bit of a worry conceding goals in the second half performance, but I wouldn't read too much into it.
Luis, do you have concerns?
No, I think the concern that you need to have, we heard how Arne Slot was talking about that you need to address quickly what is happening. Why are they conceding? Why they are conceding so many goals in the preseason? Well, last year they were so strong, and I agree with Don. Having Gravenberch and giving you that balance in the middle of the park, so Slight did a very good job, but he's always a player who likes to lean forward, so the transitions were a little bit more dangerous for Liverpool. Also, you have two players on the wide areas that they are brand new, so the understanding between Konate and Frimpong on the other side with Kirkic and Van Dijk, you know that at some points they are gonna be maladjustments. They need to have more communication. So I think that it's just the beginning of the season. It's a little bit of a rough start, but I have no doubt that this Liverpool is going to be ready to fight for everything.
Anything you want to add, Stevie? You spoke a lot about it yesterday, of course.
Yeah, I think, as always, sometimes you're missed when you're not there. I mean, Gravenberch doesn't get as much credit as he should.
Yeah, but he did play against Athletic Club when you conceded 2 goals. I think,
I just can't kill your jets.
I'm just saying, you can't just hang it all on the fact that he was absent.
Can you let me get to my point?
Yes, I can.
My point is, he's suspended for the start of the season. That's the point. So if you kept your trap shut, you would have held.
That's a good point, Stevie.
Well, thanks very much.
You need to address that.
So he has to think.
How does he deal with it? What does he do?
He maybe has to think about starting Endo.
Right.
Because a lot of the problems they had on the counter that Palace gave them, because when they turned it over, there was nobody there to stop anybody.
No.
And so that is going to be a concern for them. Obviously, it's amazing how big a week is in terms of your fitness as well. I would expect we won't see the same Van Dijk as we saw in this game at the start of the season. And I think it obviously helps they're at home. It helps it's against Bournemouth side that we really don't know what we're going to get because of the players they've lost. So it's not huge, but I think there has to be a little bit of caution. The fact that Gravenberch will not start the season, he has to rethink maybe defensively instead of going all guns blazing with all these forwards he's signed, and just cool his jets and think about the defensive side of the game.
Frank, you've had 24 hours to dwell on this. Would you like to add anything?
Yes, I realised that, in fact, Liverpool had to experience the fact that they had new players. They had some new players, and last year they didn't have to face that. The new guy was on the slot, but he had to, in disposal, the players that knew exactly how to play all together. And it's what happened to Crystal Palace this season, when they have the players that they know, and they know exactly how to play. They already structures, which wasn't Liverpool yesterday. So they need to adjust. It's going to take a time. Hopefully not too long to not trust the confidence that they have. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but they will have to adjust many things before. As Van Dijk said, they only have 5 days to make sure they start well the season.
Let's get some predictions then, shall we, as we kick off the new season on Friday. Don Hutchinson has been talking about his predictions quite a lot over the last few weeks, certainly with regards to where Manchester United is going to finish. He felt top 4 if they brought in Gyökeres. Obviously, that hasn't happened. They've brought in, though, Benjamin Sesko. So here we go then, Don. Take us through it.
Yeah, I think everyone would agree Liverpool are obviously favourites. Arsenal have signed Zubimendi's had a really good pre-season, by the way. City, the caveat why I put Newcastle 5th, because I still think Liverpool will still second bid for Alexander Isak. So I'm not sure if he stays or not, so Chelsea just pipped them. And I've got Man United in 6th. You questioned whether I'd have the bottle when I said they could push for top 4 if they made new signings. Well, I'm going to go for 6 because I think, I read today that Donnarumma's not going to be signing or staying on it at PSG, so that might be something worth keeping an eye on. So maybe their business is not finished. So, yeah, I think in terms of the teams that they've got to try and chase down, Aston Villa being one, they've lost Asensio, they've lost Marcus Rashford, so they've not really strengthened because of PSR. And the other team is Tottenham, who are in the Champions League. So I think they might find it that little bit harder, with a smaller squad. So, yeah, I've gone for Man United 6th.
So you don't have the bottle to put them in the top 4?
No, 6th. That's why I put them 6th.
Okay, no, I'm just checking, just making that clear after you brought it up last week. Luis, the only person, of course, along with Frank, to pick Liverpool last season to win the league. I imagine Liverpool number 1 again.
Yes, Dan, of course, and I agree with Don. I think that right now they have to be favourites. Manchester City, I think they're gonna get back. I think they have signed a very interesting players. Kirk is one of them. Left back on one side. Tiani, I think in the middle of the park also is gonna give them a little bit more balance, much more when Rodri is not gonna be involved. I think Arsenal once again they're gonna be fighting. I like what Chelsea has done. I think that they are really, really impressive. I enjoy them watching them during the Club World Cup. And I think they can be even challenging Arsenal for that 3rd position. Aston Villa, no 6th position because honestly, I don't want to put Manchester United. I think they're still far away to become the Manchester United that we all remember. So they will need a little bit more time. Maybe Newcastle will get that position, but with Champions League, I'm not sure if they're going to be able. And the rest of the things, of course, Erling Haaland as a top scorer. I think that with Manchester City in top form, he can get again to those 30 goals a season. For Jan Bird, I think they're a player we all are looking forward to see what he can bring to Liverpool and also to this Premier League. A very different player. And the relegation spot leaves Sunderland and Burnley. We could pick another ones, but those are the ones.
Question mark, Luis. Come on, you're better than that. You've done this show long enough to know that will not be accepted.
Yeah. honestly, Dan, is because they asked me for 6 and I sent only 5. That's my bad. Sorry.
Okay, all right. Well, now we have the opportunity to give a 6th.
I'm going to go for Newcastle.
There you go. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Luis. Get some sleep. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Right then to MLS. LA Galaxy taking on Seattle. 25 minutes into this one. Julian Allen with the own goal. Ooh, it's a scramble at the back post.
Well, it's because of the cross. The cross is fantastic. Completely cuts the keeper out, cuts the centre-back out. And unfortunately, it's an own goal.
10 minutes later, it gets even better. Now, Muzowski's shot is initially saved, but he has to go the second time.
Yeah, well, credit him. He didn't stop. Stayed alive. Ball came back to him, and he put it home.
Into the second half we go. Muzowski then. Oh, he likes him.
The goalies get assists for those.
I don't believe so, Stephen. No. Cinder Brunel here would make it 4.
Yeah, cutting them apart now. Great ball, in behind, cut back, easy peasy finish.
Yeah, really nice win for Seattle as Galaxy's struggles continue. No Lionel Messi, of course, is into Miami in action against Orlando City. Just 2 minutes on the clock here, and it's Orlando who take the lead. Luis Muriel with the goal.
Yeah, he does well here. His first touch from the pass is perfect. Second one, not so great. Third one, finished it off.
Yannick Bright then would make it 1-1. This is just 2 minutes after Orlando took the lead.
Yeah, it's a great volley with the instep. Just hits through it. It's not the greatest of headers away. That's good technique.
And that's the only real highlights for Inter Miami, because then it was all about Orlando in the second half. Muriel gets his second to make it 2-1.
Listen, it's a great turn, but it's desperate defending when you let a player turn you there.
8 minutes later, Martin Ojeda will make it 3-1 here.
Yeah, not much the goalie can do about that.
Really? You've given the goalie a pass?
Yeah. I mean, everything told you he was going to go the other way. Defender left him a gap. He wouldn't be able to see it till late.
Pasalic here, though, would make it 4-1.
Defender again, leaves a gap. Keeper again, Dan, no chance.
That puts Orlando actually above Inter Miami. As we take a look, though, at how things stand in the Western Conference, San Diego 4 clear of Vancouver Whitecaps. And in the Eastern Conference, as I mentioned, now Orlando City move up to 4th in the table. Welcome in then to the latest edition of Extra Time. Frank has managed to get himself into that T-shirt. Don joins us as well. For Don, which of Liverpool's midfielders, apart from Ryan, is a world-class defensive midfielder? Stevie and Craig seem to think Liverpool doesn't need a backup number 6. Wow.
I don't think they have a world-class number 6, as in a holding midfield player. They've got very good players that can play there. I think Curtis Jones had he had 100% pass completion at Wembley the other day, so he's done quite well. It doesn't really suit him though. But I tell you one thing I didn't really get a mention. When Ekitike went off and when Florian Wirtz went off, the bench looked like, names-wise, it was pretty much stacked, but there was no one on that bench that could really score goals for Liverpool, so that's why I'm pretty sure Van Dijk sent that little message after the game saying they'll still need more reinforcements going forward. Interesting.
Number 6, Frank.
Well, you know, I think McAllister can be a very good number 6. He has proven the world that he's been a world-class player and has been a champion of the world. So with Ryan and Gravenberg and McAllister, you have the players you need. So why do you need somebody else?
Yeah. Stevie?
Yep.
You stick by your original
with
thought?
Frank, big time.
Start, bench and drop. Whose defence, Stevie, worries you the most going into the start of the new season? Liverpool, Real Madrid, Manchester City.
Oh, Manchester City.
Right.
Because they don't have one.
Oh dear.
They don't have one. By the end of the season, it was absolute disarray, and they've done nothing to change it. You know, Real Madrid.
They've got Rodrygo back though.
Real Madrid have gone and
he
signed
can marshal
Tyson.
everything. He can sort everything out.
Well, he's not going to be back till at the very least September. And then what conditions
Well, the season
are going
starts
to
in September. That's all right.
be in? If you think so, Dan, you'll know better than I do. Yeah, right.
Oh, right.
No, this is easy. Man City.
Okay. Right.
What?
I don't know where you've got
You've
Rodrygo's...
got those eyes going again.
where-
You start when you start
Where you've
doing
got
this with your
Rodrygo's
eyes.
medical reports from?
The manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's it?
Aye.
Okay, 2 and 3?
2 and 3, I would say Real Madrid, because we know that Kanate and Van Dijk, when they're 100%, will be big, strong, organised, and they should be able to sort out the two either side of them, whether it's Frimpong on one side and Kerkez on the other. Real Madrid, on the other hand, Tyson's a good signing, but there's still question marks over the others.
Frank?
Yeah, I agree with Stevie.
Yes.
Liverpool, I won't be too worried about, because when the two guys are going to be ready with McAllister on top of it and Gravenberg, and I think the two guys on the right and the left side, the two new players, Kerkez and Frimpong, are going to be a little bit more defensive than the others, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, for example, on the right side, and they have the players to help each other, and you have some other players who can come on. So I'm not worried with Liverpool. So I go for City because, as I said during the show, I didn't see any improvements with new players, so I don't see why it's going to get better. And the Real Madrid, because we don't really know where they go and how the midfielder is going to be settled down. And then Liverpool,
If Baleba and Donnarumma sign for Manchester United, Don, will they be a top 4 contender?
Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I think they would be.
Come on.
I think they would be. There's not a, there's not a lot. There's not a lot of really. I mean, there's obviously 2 or 3 positions that you'd like to fill if you're playing fantasy football, but you're getting one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You know, Baleba's a brilliant young player who can cover the grass, and it's exactly what Man United need, because they need legs. They've signed Cunha. They've signed Mbuemo, who hit 20 goals last season. They've still got Bruno Fernandes. They've now got Sesko. They have to be patient with Sesko. No, don't think he's the answer just yet. Just even though he cost a lot of money, Man United fans, don't get carried away like he's going to hit 25, 30 goals a season. He's very young, a bit like Rasmus Højlund. But I tell you what, I mean, they're going in the right direction. Don't get me wrong. The challenge for a while, whether they'd finish in the top 4, probably unlikely.
Right. So you say no in the end?
In the end, I would say yes.
Frank, how was your train ride home? Did you throw the Ekitike jersey in the wash first thing? In case you missed yesterday's show, Frank bullied Ekitike into giving him his shirt after the game, and also gave him a lecture about how he won the Community Shield after losing it 4 years before, so not to worry. Is that right, Frank?
No, it's not right. I didn't bully anybody. I asked him, if I could have his shirt, and I nicely said yes. He said, "Come in the tunnel, I give it to you." I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to go in the tunnel." He said, "I'll bring it back to you." He was so kind, and I really appreciate that, because you never know, you have a shirt of a player who's very young but can be a legend within 10 years. I say, wow, I have Ekitike first shirt, first game, first goal for Liverpool. That's amazing. It can be a very big collector. And he was absolutely nice, and he was frustrated, but kept his calm and gave me the shirt. Yes, I watched it this morning, don't worry. I arrived late, I arrived around midnight, but this morning it was the washing machine and it's been watched and be soon in a poster window where I can see it.
Frank's thinking about selling it already.
I know, he's already thinking about the financial implications of it. Stick it on eBay.
Ching.
Bish bash bosh.
Ching.
Do you think?
No.
Well,
I keep it for me.
Yeah. That's, you didn't quite make it sound like that.
Yeah.
Don, what shirt have you got that you will keep forever?
Oh, probably the Lothar Matthäus one, just that left-hand side of me
yeah,
there. Look,
banged
if I
on
can try
about
and spin
that,
that round. Does
yeah.
that move around? There we go. Lothar Matthäus, number 10. Left his captain's armband in there.
Oh,
That was a
nice one.
Scored the winner in Germany. Beat them 1-0 for Scotland.
And who is Hutchinson on the shirt? Who's that guy?
Oh, he's got it in his garage. Lothar Matthäus has got that prime spot in his garage.
With
Guaranteed.
the injuries to Bellingham and Camavinga, does Real Madrid need to address the midfield before the summer transfer period ends, Stevie?
I don't necessarily think so. I think he needs to figure out how to get it firing on all cylinders, both with and without the ball. I think they've got the personnel to cover till Bellingham gets back, but they just even last season they didn't get the mix right. I don't know whether it's the positioning or it's a real conundrum because they've got quality. There's no question about that. They just don't seem to be able to play that well together. That's the thing he has to do.
You all played in teams that did well in your respective leagues and in teams that were towards the bottom of the league. How is the pressure different when trying to avoid relegation as compared to trying to get European places all to win the league? Don, obviously you're part of that West Ham side that went down.
Yeah, it's completely different because you go into every game when you're down at the bottom thinking it's a must-win, or psychologically you're thinking, well, let's not lose this today. So it puts a different pressure on it. It affects how you go out to games. You've got no confidence. You're trying to not lose a game, so therefore you think, oh, well, let's just get a point today. It wouldn't be the end of the world. Therefore, if you get a point and you come in at 5 o'clock and you see the teams around you have won, it's deflating, you don't move anywhere. I always talk and I'll always say, and I'll stand by it, when you're down at the bottom of the league, and it sounds pretty obvious, but it's true, you need back-to-back wins, but there's a reason why you're at the bottom, because you're not winning many games, so the chances of getting back-to-back wins is pretty rare, so you never seem to move away from the bottom 5, 6, 7 positions once you get off to a bad start. Top end of the league is totally different. I've never went for a title, but I've been in for European football, and you are absolutely flowing as a player. You're confident, you can't wait for the games. There's no thought of drawing or losing. You go out to win them all because you're all super confident, but there's definitely more pressure when you're at the bottom of the league for sure.
I really think that the difference between the relegation and the possible or European places is that when you don't get the European places, you're disappointed, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. But when you are relegated, it has consequences in your career. And you go back to a League 2 or you go back to the Championship, and you know that your life is going to be different. In order to go back to the Premier League or to go back to the Liga, it's a hard work. And it depends on many things that you don't have all the tools. So, yeah, the pressure is bigger when you try to avoid relegation, I think.
When you're down at the bottom, a lot of the reason, again, is because you're not scoring many goals, because you're not winning games. And so every opportunity you get is gold dust. Right. And when you don't take it, the first thing that comes to your head is, we're never going to get another chance. When you're at the top, it's the opposite. Because although somebody might not take an opportunity, in your head you're going, well, you know what, we'll get another one shortly.
Right.
So it's two completely different mindsets.
Good stuff, guys. That is it. Steve, you've done a lot of days in a row at the moment. Are you off tomorrow?
I am, yeah.
What are you going to do with yourself?
Not a lot.
Good. Well, that makes a big change. Thank you very much to Don and to Frank as well. ESPN FC returns to your screens tomorrow. Naden will be in the studio alongside me.